You introduce yourselves and things like that, and that way we can keep it moving. Hold on, I'll make the banners. So the first banner is going to be this. I'm going across the bottom. The meet and greet. What is going on, beautiful people? We are live, hot and ready, like little Caesars here with everybody. Hello, everyone. So if y'all
Hi.
new here, Candace, see, stuff is gonna pop on the screen like this right here, y'all. We got a live set today, y'all. We got five NarcAvengers. This is the like literally the Avengers movie right here. we all had our standalone movies, and now we come together. Uh, what is going on, beautiful people? So, Brittany, what's up? Oh snap! There's a party in here. Yeah, it's a party. Brittany, what's going on?
Hey, what up?
Somebody said tell Ro hello for me.
Well, hi.
Hello yourself.
Hi, Dylan.
So many Avengers in one place. Oh my.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. There's I saw another Avenger whose
Yep.
status is in question right now. Heather, not joking. Heather, what's going on? How you doing?
Gosh.
Hello,
Hi. Hi,
so I said,
friends.
hello from Canada. There's a Canada in the house.
Canada over here.
Oh,
Hello.
Toronto. We got some
There you go.
Canada in the house. Look, we have a limit of 3 Canadians in the chat. So Australia. Ooh, we got everybody everywhere. What is happening? Got London in the house. What's going on? Is this a room full of narcs? No, it is not. Much love. What is going on, everybody? So, if y'all new here, I am Lee Hammock, mental illness on social media. I'm a self-aware narcissist. I speak about narcissistic personality disorder, helping people get into therapy and all the other good stuff. I'm gonna let everybody else introduce themselves. Y'all can drop the questions in the chat and whatnot. I'll pop it across the screen like this or so. So, take it away. We can go clockwise, starting with Mr. Ben Taylor, Raw Motivations.
Cool. So my name is Ben Taylor. I'm a self-aware narcissist on the platforms as well to provide awareness, growth, healing, and change. I try to be able to just produce my platform to try to help people have clarity when they're going through like the crazy situations of life and they're trying to figure out like what's going on and how to be able to cope with that and also what's going through on the narcissist side. So that's me and that's my platform, Raw Motivations.
Oh yeah, perfect. On all platforms, y'all. All platforms.
I think it's me next, right?
Yes.
My name
Oh
is,
yeah.
I don't know if it looks the same on y'all's screen as it does on
I
mine.
think it looks different.
Trey.
So my name's Trey. I'm actually a narcissistic abuse survivor. So I'm also on all the platforms. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. And really my whole goal of sharing my story is just, I know the big turning point in my healing journey was when I was talking to other people that have actually gone through this exact same thing, because it helped me feel very less isolated and helped me feel a lot more understood. Because it's a very unique situation and it's kind of one of those things you either get or you don't get. So that's why I share my story, just to hopefully let people know that they're not alone in this journey and that healing is possible and it doesn't have to take forever, that you are much stronger than you think that you are. So that's a little bit about me.
Yeah.
I'm Ro. I'm Roller Coaster of Love on all the platforms. I'm survivor of narcissistic abuse. Basically, I was with a narcissist for 14 years and completely stuck and completely in this like this cage of inauthenticity, having absolutely no way to self-express, like lost who I was, didn't even know who Ro was anymore. And so I'm out here on my platforms just showing you that you can be who you want to be. You can bring out that expression. I'm here to bring levity, to bring laughter, to bring fun back into your life, because you probably got that trapped and suppressed by a narcissist or a toxic person. And just like be able to step out into the world again, go out and date again. Healthy dating after abuse is something that I preach and talk and help you achieve. And just like to be able to find out who you are again. Thanks.
Well, thank you, Ro.
Yeah, and I'm Kat, stand coaching on TikTok and Instagram. I'm also a survivor of narcissistic abuse. I'm the daughter of a narcissist, and then I found myself in a pattern of dating people with personality disorders, just multiple abusers. So I came into this journey of trying to break the cycle of abuse, trying to break patterns and behaviors and kind of recognize red flags. Like Trey said, I think that there was just a lot of relief feeling like I wasn't alone when I came into all this information about what was going on. So that's what I'm here to do also, is just let people know that you're absolutely not alone. This is definitely something that a lot of us have gone through, and you're not crazy. Like, that's the most important thing. You're not insane.
Yep. Well, thank you, everybody. So, like Donna Ali just said, 4.5 years of crazy making. So it will make you go crazy. The longer you're in these relationships and dynamics and whatnot, the more crazy you tend to feel sometimes. So I'm gonna hop. Like I said, if y'all have any questions or whatever, like everybody's username on all platforms. Everybody's on YouTube here. Everybody's on TikTok, Instagram, whatever platform you prefer. Everybody's there. Facebook, Instagram.
We're on all of them. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of everywhere. I'm everywhere you want to be. I'm like, what's it called? I'm like all state.
I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, Lee.
It was bad. I left all state. I got Geico right now, so it's not even good for me. So Dr. Ruth Ann says, so glad to discover your channel, Trey. You got a fan. There you go.
I'm glad you discovered it too.
Hey, so there you go. Brittany says, can't wait to meet and see you guys in Austin, Texas. Meet and greet coming up. Y'all see it scrolling across the bottom of the screen. It's going to be an amazing event. All 4 of us will be there.
I'll be there in spirit, and I'll be there on video. Okay, you'll see me.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Brittany can't make this one, but
yeah, Austin, Texas is going to be great. It's going to be great. It's going to be a great event, though. It's going to be the meet and greet. We're going to do like a little small speaking event, y'all. I'm telling you, it's going to be an amazing time. Coming through Austin, Texas. More information to come. Brittany's already in Austin, so. But first question: how to deal with a narc spouse? It's maddening. Who wants to hop on that one first?
I was married to a narcissist. So I had a narc spouse. I have experience in that, and I agree with you, Tess. It is maddening. But my answer to that: how to deal with a narc spouse? You just don't. Just don't if you can. Once you find out that somebody is abusing you in this way, if you think like, just drop the label of narcissist. He's a spouse. He or she is a spouse. They're hurting you. They're abusing you. You don't feel like yourself. You don't feel like you could be self-expressed. Find a way to get out. Find a way to find that access that for yourself, that self-expression, that authenticity, and be able to be you again. So if somebody's pulling you away from who you are, that's abusive, right? Someone's manipulating you, lying to you, cheating on you, stealing from you. That's abusive, whether they're a narcissist or not. They're toxic. So how do you deal with that? You work on yourself, right? Find plans to be able to step forward and take your power back. Just don't.
Yeah. Anybody else have anything to add to that one?
Don't.
Just
don't.
Five.
Now, let's don't.
Five don'ts. There you go. The don'ts have it. There you go. So it was a good one in here. So for the narcissists on the panel, why do you think you developed these coping mechanisms? Childhood. Mine, childhood, trauma, neglect, things like that. Not, it's just I just feel like sometimes it's just that you become a product of your environment. Like, especially like me myself, I just feel like I became a product of my environment, and now because I became a product of my environment in my childhood, I try to make my environment right now a product of me. So I try to shift it in my own brain right now to make it work on my behalf, as opposed to letting other things and other people dictate my time, effort, energy, and things like that. That's
I think like childhood's like a big one, and it's especially hard sometimes to like, even with therapy, to try to figure out where in childhood or like what in childhood. I think there's some aspects that there might be some aspects that we'll never know exactly what per se, but kind of like a combination of like the whole, whether that was like the early like maybe like disconnection from the primary caregiver, or whether that was like throughout life, like having to be like, hey, like I have to protect myself, or I have to be a certain way to be able to grow up or survive, or be able to hide like different shame or different emotion that I didn't know how to deal with.
Yeah, good solid answers. There was another question I heard. Dr. Ruth Ann, Trey's fan, said, how do you all find working together as a mix of survivors and narcissists? So I feel like, who wants to hop on that one?
Okay, so I'll be honest. The first one of like Lee and Ben that I found was Lee. And when I first discovered his channel, I was still pretty early in my healing journey. And it was funny because like when I saw his first video, it was before like Lee does this thing now where at the beginning of most of his videos, he's like, if you're new here, I'm a self-aware narcissist. This was kind of like way back in the day before he really started doing that. So I just thought it was like, oh, this is really great info. So I went over to his page and then I started scrolling through it and I realized like he was a self-aware narcissist. And because I was so new in my healing journey, I actually got really triggered by it, just because I knew that he was one. And I was at the time like still discovering really what narcissism was. And because I didn't know about any of this till well after the breakup. And so once I got a little bit stronger and more grounded within myself, and also I think also just gave Lee a chance as well to really hear his story and hear the purpose of what he was doing. He popped up on my FYP again. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll give him another shot. So then I like started like looking through his page again, and I think around that time is when I posted my first Mind of the Narc video, and he duetted it, and then that's just kind of how it started. But I had to get really grounded in who I was, and because to be able to be like able to see him for like what he's doing now and not just the label, if that makes sense.
There you go.
Yeah, I think it takes a while to kind of like work together, and everybody like interacts differently, and like everybody can get triggered differently. So like sometimes I go through it like oblivious, and I have no clue like when or if I trigger anybody. If they don't say anything, I don't know, you know? And like, so there's been times that I know like there's some people that I've like triggered like on accident, because it's not like I'm trying to, but like my personality is like geared in a certain direction. So like I'm going to go a certain direction, not like as far as like just like the narcissism side, but just like how I think, how I process stuff, and how I like work as a team and as a group. So like, I don't know, even in here, like I don't know who I've triggered or who I haven't triggered, you know, but I know there's a couple people in the group that I have triggered before, and we've like talked through it and kind of worked through that.
Yeah. The triggers and things like that. So me, I mean, I just have, for me personally, I just, I work with anybody. It's just like, so this is the thing about me. I never watch my own videos back. Like once I post them, I never watch them again. Because I don't like hearing my own voice, because I like even my own skits and stuff like that, it triggers me back to stuff I used to do. So I just like, damn, I was one of them, you know. I was out there. So I don't even watch my old videos back. So I understand what Trey was saying and things like that. So one of y'all, Catherine, bro, you have anything else to add to that one?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, it's as a survivor, you're looking for all this clarity and like, do they mean when they say this? Do they mean when they say that? And it's one thing to hear from professionals like, no, they didn't mean this or they didn't mean that. And that's really validating. But it's a whole nother level when you hear it confirmed by a narcissist themselves too, to say like, no, I'm absolutely aware and conscious. And I think it's, if anything, it's triggering definitely, but it's healing too, because it's giving you the closure that you couldn't get from the narcissist in your life. We just turned to Ben and Lee. Like, can you give me closure?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with all of that. I think working together, the content is one thing, right? But like working together in a team dynamic can be like there can be triggers no matter what type of personality you have, right? So people will just work differently. There's different learning styles, different creativity styles, different communication styles. And I just think that when we start dropping the term narcissist, I know that's kind of what we talk about, right? But like when we stop saying, you know, someone's a narcissist and someone isn't a narcissist, we kind of just look at people like people and then learn how to deal with it. Sometimes I even forget that they're self-aware narcissists. I know that's the title, but to me, they're people. They're not abusing me. So it's a lot easier for me to deal with people that are not abusing me.
Yeah.
But sometimes in the group, we have people in the group that trigger each other that aren't narcissists too. So like it's, we're just people trying to work together, trying to help out best we can.
So since Ro was the last one talking, I saw this question pop up directly to her.
I was financially abused in many different ways. A lot of it was isolation through finances. My abuser having me depend on him financially, and then also like duping me in many ways, in like scamming me, like stealing from me, things like that I would just kind of put up with, because going along with his plans was just a better day with the narcissist. Like I would just have a better day with him if I just supported him this way. So did I have access to funds when I left? Absolutely not. I left with like dollars in my bank account, you know, piece of crap car, and I didn't really have a place to go or anything to do. I had I couldn't work because of COVID. I couldn't really do much. I had my 3 kids, and I was also being threatened by him financially. So he would like threaten to like ruin me financially. I'll never make it out there. So what I did was I like took a lot of deep work in myself. I used a lot of my support system. I had a really close support system. My best friend that passed away, she really helped me during that time by helping me save money, helping me access like a lot of things that were like a little less expensive, and help me with my finances and help me get into a place like this. And then once I removed the chaos of the narcissist and all of the mess that he put in, all of the rumination, I was able to access my purpose and my intuition and be able to hustle and do what I love to do, which is help anyone who went through what I went through. So now I'm living in a place of financial independence. But that wasn't easy. It took a lot of hard work. And it takes taking away that rumination cycle and the chaos that a narcissist puts, so that I could start focusing on monetizing and living out my purpose.
There you go. Perfect answer right there. So this is a question for the survivors here. How do you wish them well and still move on with your life? I don't want any animosity or danger. Am I wrong for that?
I'll start. I don't wish him well, but I don't wish him ill either. I'm just indifferent. And I think that that's the key. Like, the opposite of love is not hatred, and vice versa. Like, I don't care. You don't have to wish them well to move on. You just have to get to the point where it just doesn't matter what they're doing in their life, because you're focused on you. At least that's how it was for me.
Yeah, like I think of it like your next door neighbor that you don't really know. I don't wish them well, but I don't wish them any animosity or danger. I don't really care about my next door neighbor that much, right? Like maybe one time she said hi. I don't know her. I don't know my ex anymore. I don't think about him that way. I don't want to, like, I move on with my life being indifferent in that place that Trey's saying. That place of indifference means we just don't care anymore, which is the same energy that they gave us the whole time we were with them, because they never cared.
Yeah.
I will say that, like, I'm pretty indifferent about my ex that's a narcissist, but at the same time, like with my dad and my ex, it's like, I wish you well in the sense that it would be awesome if you went and reflected and found some self-awareness and maybe like some insight, or like dove into yourself a little bit. Like, that's my idea of wishing you well. Like, I wish your heart well. Like, I wish you would change.
There you go. Good, solid answers. So right here, Lee and Ben, are you both survivors of abuse as well? So, but Ben has a very, very good tale about this. But yes, I'm also a survivor. So I've been dealing with. So I've dated narcissistic women before, toxic women, and they kind of, I know when I tell people that story, they're just like, "I hope she got your ass, Lee. I hope she gave you your own medicine, you bastard." And she did. Honestly, I feel like if it's a battle, I feel like she defeated me for a little while. I came back. I won the war, but battles and things like that. So yeah, I mean, I know, like, so when I'm doing one-on-ones or coaching somebody about like this dealing with narcissists, I can give the perspective of somebody that's dealt with the narcissist, because I also have dealt with one like that. Even though I was unaware of the situation, when I look back on it, I was like, damn, kind of crazy. It was crazy together, just looking back on it. So I understand the dynamics of it as well. So no, Ben has way more in-depth story than mine with his, I don't know if you want to tell
mine touches a little bit more with a girl with BPD and like narcissistic traits. And ironically, today was like therapy day, and we're like both sitting there, and my therapist is like, well, like, I can't pull up my notes because my computer's not working. So like, do you want to unpack that one? Because we haven't touched that. And I'm like, oh crap. And so like it sucked. But like, it was just one of those things that like she went through a whole thing of us like talking about like soul ties and trying to break stuff off, and like trying to like bring up like stuff that I'd gone through and things like that. And like for me, like a big part of like getting to the place was like realizing like what actually was going on. Like when I talk to people about like the trauma bond, like I speak from like an aspect that I feel like as a narcissist, I know as best I can about the trauma bond, compared to majority of narcissists. I don't think get a trauma bond because they're not like bonded with another person. But for me, like I was bonded with like another toxic person for a period of time, but a period of time being almost like 2 years. And then like whenever everything came out and like I was honest about it, confessed and stuff like that, like this is what I'm talking about. Like the trauma bond was so real that person was like still in my life for another 10 months before I actually cut them out and before I actually blocked them. And like this is how screwed up it was in my head. Give you like an idea. Like I'm married. I have an affair with a girl with BPD. I remember one time like being at home and like being intimate with my wife, rolling over, and in my head, what I thought was that I cheated on the other girl. Like that's how like screwed up like the thought process was, but all how like enmeshed it all was. It was really crazy.
Yeah. So next, it's like I don't know. He threatens suicide often, especially again. So how do you deal with the threat of unaliving oneself when you deal with narcissists or toxic people and things like that?
Getting out of talking about child support. So I know it's kind of a heavy topic, right? But I have to laugh about this a little bit. One, because I find the humor in most things, and two, because people who are suffering this in mental illness and have these ideations about life and ending it, they talk about it after they've survived it. They've talked about it after they climb out of the hole of this deep dark spot where they think, okay, you know what? I was there. I wanted to end it. I wanted to do that. This is what I overcame. This is what I went through. People who talk about it after they overcome it usually have this type of mental illness or this type of real deep depression where they're in this dark spot, this really stuck place. People who talk about it before, like I'm gonna, they're doing it for manipulation. They're doing it to get something out of you. Yep. They're getting out of talking about child support. How silly is that, right? When you think about it, they're using this really like they're weaponizing something that people actually deal with and using that to manipulate you out of trying to pay for your child. If you think about how ridiculous that is, you don't have to connect the real seriousness of ending your experience with what they're actually doing, which is manipulating you. Right. So that's kind of how I wrap my brain around that and try to make that distinction and make that kind of, the way to look at it, just that little shift in thought, because what they're doing is they're weaponizing mental illness.
There you go. I just saw something right here. So the trauma bond is busting my ass. Sky Meadows, 7 butterfly 7. So 7 7.
In there.
Yeah. So I listen to this audio like almost every single day. It's by Dr. Eric Thomas, and he talk about sometimes when life hits you. He said sometimes you have to hit back. If you feel like the trauma bond is busting your ass, then you got to bust the trauma bond's ass. Like you have to start attacking it and taking inner catalog of what's going on inside of yourself. Like why do you keep going back? Why can't you break the trauma bond? Why do you keep ruminating about this person? Specifically when people are ruminating and thinking about the narcissist or what they could have done better, what they could have changed and things like that. I always ask them, what are you doing in that moment when you're thinking about them? Like, what are you doing in that moment? Like, what are you sitting down? Are you just laying in the bed? Are you laying on the couch? What are you doing? Whatever you're doing in that moment, you gotta break the state. Get up, scream, punch something, punch a pillow. Don't punch nothing. Don't punch nothing breakable. You know what I mean? Punch a pillow, throw something in the house. Just get it out your system. Move your body. Because when you move your body, you change your mind as well. So that's step one. And also, you can go on Amazon and the Trauma Bond Recovery Journal can help you do that as well. If you go and search Amazon, the Trauma Bond Recovery Journal, oh, she has a copy right there. So perfect. So Ro has one right there. The Trauma Bond Recovery Journal can definitely help you, get through to what you have going on right now. So they can help too. Yeah. So power up. So Aina says, I was 4 months out, no contact. I went back. How do you break the cycle? I feel so numb inside. Who want to help her break the cycle?
Try again. It was 4 months this time you went back. Sometimes we relapse, but that doesn't mean like you throw your hands up and you're like, well, I went back and it's over now. Like you try again and you try until it sticks.
And I think she used a key word there. Because I think it's interesting, Kat said the word relapse, because that's what I used to say. If I would like do the whole like, I'll just unblock on Instagram and just see what's going on. I would call those my relapses. So honestly, if you treat your trauma bond like an addiction and give it the same level of respect, and I know that's a weird way to word it, but I mean, really, truly, if you respect it in the way that people break their own addiction to like substances, that's how you have to treat this, because if the brain really does take the path of least resistance, you're always gonna, well, not always, but at the beginning, you're breaking bad habits of the ruminating and the thinking and the blocking and the, oh, I miss them, blah, blah, blah. You have to treat it truly like an addiction. I literally said the serenity prayer every day for about 6 weeks.
Yeah, the trauma bond is oftentimes like what's pulling people back. So like the trauma bond is what you think of like, wait a second, like I know in my head that this relationship is toxic, but like I still want to go back. I still want to interact. I still want to be with them, see them, hug them, whatever it might be. And like the problem is a lot of times people like have a story that's going through their mind that keeps sucking them back in. That keeps pulling them back. And the problem is most times people don't know what it is. So like when you get underneath the surface of your emotions, your feelings, and try to get underneath and actually figure out like, why am I going back? Like, is it because I feel like I have to have my validation from this person? Is it because I feel like I'm not good enough without this person? Is it because there's a whole litany of different things that people have as a story that's actually like the subliminal programming, like running underneath their mind. And until they actually get to the place where they change that story process, that every time they see something, interact with something where they get triggered, they start feeling emotion, they ascribe the feelings to it, and they tell themselves the same story that pulls them right back to the narcissist. So like, it's one of those things where like, when you think about it, a lot of times people are like, don't think about something. Well, that's the exact thing that you always think about. That's the same idea with like the narcissism is like, you can't just fix like the trauma bond by like not thinking of them anymore. You have to actually replace it. And when you replace it, it has to be grounded on truth versus the fantasy that they made you believe.
There you go. Oh, that's a good question. I'll find that one.
It's okay. Well, because he's not diagnosed as a narcissist, how can I prove that he is a narcissist? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, abuse is abuse. And so if he's a narcissist or if he's not a narcissist, that shouldn't be the reason why you stay or why you go. Why you stay or why you go should be how that person is actually demonstrating their love, their respect, their care, their honesty, their faithfulness. Like the things that you value in the relationship is what you need to see demonstrated. If you don't see those things demonstrated, then that's where you leave.
There you go. Like I said, I always say something very, very similar. The diagnosis doesn't really matter. It's the behaviors. You know what I mean? If they're not willing to change their behaviors or alter their behaviors in any way, doesn't matter if they're diagnosed or not. Chances are they probably never ever go get diagnosed. Who wants to go to therapy and just hear something's wrong with you? Especially if you're a narcissist. Nobody wants to go into therapy and hear that. Hey, you have a personality disorder. There's no cure.
Doesn't do anything. Doesn't do anything. Yeah. Maybe a couple extra little things that'll maybe give you like temporary peace of mind, but it's not going to change that person. Like it's like if you have all the symptoms of COVID, you still have all the symptoms, right? You go get a COVID test and you're positive. What's the difference?
Right.
You still have it. The difference is the diagnosis. The diagnosis doesn't do anything to the abuse.
Mm-hmm. I think the thing is that it's emotional abuse. So you don't need to have like the diagnosis label. Like I think that the list of emotional abuse that they're checking off every box is enough. Like that you're being abused by this person.
Yeah. There you go. So can we talk about mothers and daughters, please? Narcissistic mothers and their daughters. Does anybody have experience with that? Catherine, you said you had
on tonight.
Mother-in-law.
Yeah, my father's a narcissist.
Yeah, I have a mother-in-law, like an ex-mother-in-law, but I've witnessed it, but just from the outside point of view, where I've witnessed it, where my old sister-in-law would say, yeah, I know why you've left my brother. I know why. I know exactly why, because of the abuse. Because I know I've lived with an alcoholic. My mom, she abused me my whole life. She's an alcoholic, and so is my brother. And at the time, I was like, yeah, okay, I get that you're connecting with me in this way. That makes sense. I didn't really realize or know that he was a narcissist, right? So looking back, when I look at that, she kind of made that connection, but she made it in a different way. She made it with alcoholism, when it's really, maybe it's both, but I saw it from the outside. But I don't have a narcissistic mom, so I don't know. Yeah. That's the closest I got to.
I can speak to being the daughter of a narcissist in general. I think that like if you bring in all the invalidation and criticism and walking on eggshells that you bring into a relationship, and like Ro was saying, like losing your identity, like imagine being raised like that. It's like you're not allowed to develop an identity. Like you kind of know who you are deep down inside, but there's so much conflict going on. in expressing anything about who you are from the moment that you're born. And then additionally, you know how like your partner that's a narcissist, their voice, their constant criticism takes over your mind. That voice is instilled in your head. So you kind of like just grow up with that voice. It's just like double the work to find your identity, find a healthy inner monologue. So
there you go. And one thing I do know about narcissistic mothers, they do pass down their insecurities to their daughters, and to their children in general. So if you have a narcissistic mother, chances are they pass down their insecurities and projected a lot of this stuff onto you. Did Trey good? Oh, there you go.
I had to grab my computer charger. Sorry.
No, you go. I just see you. So you pop off. I was like, there you go. Yes, false hope. I got sidetracked. There you go. Boom, boom, boom. It was one I had to answer. I can knock this one out real quick. I'm dating an older woman who's a narcissist. What does she want from me? She might just want you to clap the cheeks. I'm not certain. What is she getting from you?
Any opportunity to say those two words in live.
I had to start that one. Sorry, y'all. But figure out the dynamic of your relationship though. Seriously, I feel like that'll help you out a lot more right there, just in the situation.
I was like looking for that one.
I saw it. Where'd it go? How do I get her to stop sending mail to my place? It's been 2 months, no contact, and I don't want to reach out. I don't know what country you might be in, but in the United States, I'm pretty sure you can just go to the post office and return the sender just that direct that person's name. You mean they don't live here, or go to the post office that's directly associated with your house that delivers to your house, and stop that mail from coming to your house.
Yep.
But next thing you know, they'll start sending magazine subscriptions to your house, and things like that. So in your own name.
The more they see that it just keeps getting returned, right? That puts a stop to that, right? Like we can't stop or change what a narcissist does. They can keep sending you mail, and if they know that you're opening it and looking at it, they're going to keep sending you mail because they know you're getting that. That's their form of supply. When you return to sender and they keep getting it back in their own mailbox, and it's like there's nothing left, right? So they'll usually stop if they don't think they're going to get anywhere with this tactic.
Well,
if they're having their mail sent to your house, that's actually what my ex did for a while. They would not get themselves off of my address, and I just went online and I paid 75 cents to forward his address to whatever address I had for him at the time, and I just did it on my own. And I was still in contact with him at that point in time. And so I just texted him. I was like, hey, since it took you 3 months and you didn't take care of this, I went ahead and did it for you. Don't worry about it.
There you go. Power moves. Power moves.
Lee, can you, after that one, can you put up the one by Sav on YouTube, the church is forcing me one?
Oh, yeah. I'll tell you. So is it common for flying monkeys to blindly believe what they are told by the narcissist without questioning the facts? So, sorry, y'all. My lamp attracts bugs.
The facts. Blindly believe what they're told. Yeah, it is very common, because what a flying monkey actually is a blind supporter of the narcissist. I mean, sometimes they're a direct supporter and they know it, right? And they're accomplices, right? Really. Mm-hmm. But most flying monkeys are just people who are carrying out the bidding for the narcissist, right? They're there to help support the narcissist abuse you. Right. So whatever they're saying, whatever they're doing, they're enabling them to continue on the abuse. And sometimes they're just blindly doing it because they don't know any better. And they actually, in most cases, they're actually charmed by the narcissist. They're falling into the charm of the narcissist and just believing whatever the heck they're saying. So yeah, they're blindly believing because they're under the spell, just like we were when we were trapped in these narcissistic relationships. We're under the spell. They don't want to question the facts because sometimes they fawn over narcissists and they will just believe everything they say because, believing them and supporting them is a good day with them. They're they have fun with them. They want this like this person to have fun. So they'll just like enjoy their time with them because sometimes the narcissist is like showing them a good time. So yeah, it's very common.
Well, there you go. So super common. Flying monkeys are fun to have, but not fun to experience. So Sav Artemis says, church is forcing me to stay. I forgive this person. How do I tell them to back off and allow me and my therapist to work through my process of healing? I feel invalidated. The church is forcing me to stay. Oof.
Yeah, so like a big part of that is you see like a lot of like churches and like religion that doesn't have a clue of what they're dealing with.
Yeah.
Like one thing to say like, oh, this person has like pride, but like you also can't work together with that person if they're unwilling to acknowledge what they're actually doing. And that's the problem is a lot of times you have churches that want you to stay in a relationship thinking like, oh, we can work on this together when the other person is saying one thing, they're saying they want to work on the relationship, but they're actively doing the opposite. And the problem is most pastors, most counselors, a lot of therapists too, don't know what they're looking for because they get into the same room with the narcissist and with someone else. And they're like, wait a second, like this person is actually telling the truth when the narcissist isn't. And what they do is they bring their false self in. I can't get over. You keep like jumping. They bring their false self into the room, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I want to work on it," but then they go back and they keep abusing. Like, be really careful because like the church and Christianity a lot of times doesn't have a good like feel on like what narcissism actually is, and as a result, it ends up hurting a lot of people even more. Like one quote that like I love is like, "Forgiveness does not mean reconciliation." Like forgiveness is for you to move on and to be able to get out, but it doesn't mean you still have to be with that person. It doesn't mean you still have to interact with that person, see that person, anything. Because if you're in that relationship and you're getting abused, like if you believe and you ascribe to Christianity, then like you also know that like as a Christian, like God is not a God of chaos and God doesn't want you to be in a relationship where you're getting abused. So there's a whole nother dynamic with all that. A lot of times the church is hurting you in the aspect of like they're telling you to stay with someone that's really destroying you.
Yeah, and I think it's important to remember like the church is different than God, and the pastor is different than God, and the priest is different than God. That's human error. And just like Ben said, like they're just not aware of the gravity of the situation, which is human error. This is not God saying, forgive this person and stay in this relationship.
Mm-hmm.
No, there you go. Perfect. I love the teamwork. I like that it's just the bounce. It's the energy. Go ping, 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 ping. It's like a ping pong ball. It's bouncing around with fire. It's on fire. I just saw something else. Right. So, how do I get over the trauma bond so I can leave and move on? So I feel like what you're asking is why can I just leave? Why can't I just leave the person alone? So I'm gonna segue into what's scrolling at the bottom. So it's August the 18th, right? So on August the 18th, if you look across the bottom of the screen, there's a live webinar coming up about how to break the trauma bond and why you can't leave. Why I'm gonna put it on the screen here. Just a second. How you do this? Ben told me how to do this, y'all.
Tech savvy.
Yeah, I'm Ben savvy.
Ben tech savvy.
So this is it right here, y'all. So I know y'all can see the screen. Can y'all see it on the screen right now?
Yeah.
So right here, live webinar event coming up on August the 18th, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time, hosted by Carrie McAvoy, PhD. Is with Dr. Kristen Milstead. Why can't I just
take off the comment?
Oh, check. How do I do this? See, I'm learning. Give me one second. There you go.
There you go.
Boom.
There you go.
So
Perfect. Yeah.
here you go right now. So can y'all see this on the screen right now?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, August 18th, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. I got confused. The live webinar event teaches you how to identify what keeps you stuck in a bad relationship, the definition of narcissistic drama triangle, how to figure out if you're living with Dr. Jekyll or Mr. and Mrs. Hyde, how to break the trauma bond with your narcissistic ex-partner. Number 4 right there is highlighted in bold. They put the trauma bond in bold because I know a lot of people are going to ask that question. The 7 ways to leave, how to take control of your life. Then this is from the professionals, y'all. Carrie McAvoy, PhD, has written an excellent book. And Dr. Kristen Milstead has written a book as well. I think all of us have links in our bios for this. You can go to our bios and whatnot to check this out. Get registered up for it and everything. But just check it out. It's gonna be a great event. You'll learn a lot too. I'll learn a lot. I learn a lot too because Carrie McAvoy will be bringing the heat.
It is on August 18th, and it does have a Q&A, so you actually can ask both Carrie McAvoy and Kristen Milstead, who is the author of Why Can't I Just Leave? And then Carrie also wrote her book. But you can ask them anything you want in the Q&A. And if you can't make it, so if you purchase the ticket and you cannot make it for the day, you actually get a replay of that webinar in that price, which is going to be less than what you can pay for the actual replay itself. But if you can make it, you'll be able to put your questions in and have them answered by both of these PhDs. So I would definitely get your ticket, whether or not you can make it.
Hell, fire. Yeah, it's gonna be it's gonna be a great event, y'all. I promise. So my parents were not narcissists. Well, my mom wasn't. My dad, I'm not 100% certain. I mean, he was around, but not around a lot. You know what I mean? He was more like a the friend you saw at the YMCA or something like that. It wasn't like super dad or anything like that. Mm-mm-mm. I don't know about being. Would you feel like one of your parents was narcissistic? One, both.
I think one might have like narcissistic traits, but I wouldn't say full blown narcissist. No.
Ben refers to this jazzy as reverse projection. It works.
Jazzy? What does that mean?
What's reverse projections, Ben? You have any?
I don't know.
This
I
might be.
I don't remember ever saying reverse projection.
This might be a reverse projection we're experiencing right now. We might.
This is, and it's jazzy too, so it makes a lot of sense. It does work. They're right.
Personal question for Trey right here.
Can I talk about your experience? I've never seen you live. Yes. So, oh Lord. Okay, we'll try to do this quick. So I was married to a woman previously, and I had 3 great kids with her. And when I was about 27, I came out of the closet, and 3 weeks later, I met my narcissistic ex. It was the first same-sex relationship that I had been in. Wow. And the reason why I tell you, great way to start off this journey.
Right off the bat. Damn.
Yeah. But the reason why I tell you that is because what was going on in my life was divorce, and I was a worship pastor, so I was being kicked out of the church. I was losing friends left and right. My life was very, very tumultuous whenever I met my narcissistic ex, which is why the love bombing phase was so intoxicating for me, because I was getting all the validation from this individual that I didn't have in myself. Because even though I was getting to this place of self-acceptance that I had fought since I was 13, it was still 27 years of life that I had built that was being crumbled underneath me in certain aspects. So I was in pretty rough shape, and I was with them for 18 months. I lived with them for 8 of those months. And it was just a lot of the classic things that we hear. There was cheating that I'd found out about right after we broke up, that there was cheating that had been taking place in the last 5 months of our relationship. He constantly was trying to drive a wedge in between me and my kid's mom, and just a lot of manipulation and using the rough childhood that he had as his excuse for his behavior, and all the gaslighting and all the typical stuff in the recipe of a narcissistic relationship. And there was just one day where he had the worst rage episode that he had, to the point where I felt physically unsafe. And that was the first time that I had feared for my physical safety. And I just remembered looking at him in the face and realized that the person that I thought I loved did not exist. And that was the first time I had that realization. And I told him to get out. And I didn't know about narcissism or anything like that. I just used to always describe him as being an overgrown teenager and being very emotionally immature. It wasn't until my therapist actually used that term. And that's kind of how my journey to discovering all of this. I didn't have TikTok. I didn't have anything. So literally breaking my trauma bond was through trial and error of my own, because I was so desperate to just feel normal again. So everything that I talk about in my coaching is stuff that I ended up figuring out on my own to get to where I was at. So that's kind of, and now, it started off rough in this second half of my life, but now I'm in a great relationship. I'm engaged to an amazing man, and my kids' mom and me have probably the best relationship that we've had in a long time. And, I'm in grad school getting my doctorate degree now. So it's crazy what can happen when you take care of yourself again.
I love the power up. I love it. I love it. Seriously. I mean, I don't love the beginning. You just came out the closet right into a toxic relationship.
Yeah.
Wrong house. So Ruby says, I'm really struggling tonight. I don't want to contact him. I'm just tired of not trusting anyone, including myself. I live constantly on guard, and I kind of feel hopeless. Oof. Ruby, struggling tonight. I don't want to contact him. Then don't contact him. You don't want to, then don't do it. Don't go against yourself out here. When you like I said, I feel like you're having a lot of right now. It's like there's a lot of internal struggle going on right here. Where you have to learn how to retrust yourself. I mean most people here had to learn how to retrust themselves after self discovery when they get out of a toxic relationship. You have to learn how to trust yourself to get into new healthy relationships. You hear Trey say he's engaged right now. Ro, you in a relationship now? I think.
Yes.
I don't know.
Put on
on spot on live.
Oh, do you-
I was just joking. I don't know.
I'm gonna text him this live and be like, "Yo,
I don't know. I just like
Let's shift this conversation a little bit.
Yeah.
I want
So
to tell Ruby something. Ruby, this is not feeling hopelessness, okay? Hope for me stands for hold on, pain ends. This what you're feeling right now is temporary. Okay? Look me in the eyes. I don't know if I'm looking in the camera properly. You can see me in the eyes. You will get out of this. What you're in right now is temporary. I know you're struggling tonight. A lot of us have felt this way. Okay? Hold on, pain ends. This hopelessness, this not trusting yourself, this what you're struggling with tonight is temporary. You are going to get through this. You're going to get past this. The fact that you're in this live right now, listening to us and watching us and asking this question and getting an answer is your sign that you are going to be on the other side. You're going to get there. I promise you. Just hold on. Okay?
yeah, you got a lot of love in the chat too, though. So you gotta empower yourself. Self-love, self-empowerment. It's like somebody said, "Thank you for sharing, Trey." Trey was powerful. So you changed
I was gonna say real quick to Ruby too. Like one of the things like that I just want you to think of is like when you're struggling with the idea of like contacting him again and like re-engaging with that contact, sit down and like journal and write down everything that you experienced in that, because when you reach out and you contact, you're signing up for all of that abuse again, and even more so. Like if there's anything that you need to do at times is like use anything you can to remind yourself of the past to get grounded in the truth so that you don't go back. And then the second thing I want to say is like I know it feels like hopeless, and I love what Rose said about like it's a period of your life, it's a period of time, but also like I want you to take a look like just in YouTube right now. There's like 150 people. Facebook, there's probably like another 100 or so. Like there's probably close to like 300 people that you're not alone. Is what I'm trying to say. Like there's a lot of people that have gone through this. There's 3 other people on the screen here that have gone through this and they're on the other side. So even though it feels hopeless, I want to let you know that there is hope. There is hope after all of this. There is a place for healing where you can be happy, healthy, and whole. It takes time. It's not easy. Like it's awful as shit for a lot of people like going through it, but there is hope on the other side. I want you to be able to hold on to
that.
Donna.
But I saw this when I started earlier, so I don't want to leave yet. How do you keep the narc happy and satisfied? So situation like this. So this is why I say, what is you don't honestly? I just feel like in situations like this, I feel like you end up sacrificing yourself to try to make somebody else happy that won't ever be completely happy with you. You know what I mean? There might be moments of situational happiness, and I feel like that's what you're going towards, like the moments of happiness that you have, because it's not always bad. It's not always this bad, and things like this. You try to focus on the good times. You try to keep the good times there, but I feel like it requires sacrifice. Pretty much your entire being. How much you willing to sacrifice?
Your entire being. Yeah. Your entire being, and they won't be happy about it. They still won't be satisfied. This is the saying that this makes me think of. You can lie down and be their doormat and you still won't be flat enough. Okay. There's like nothing you can do. They're going to complain about how you're still not doing it right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's basically they're a bucket with holes in it. Mm-hmm. Pour water, and all that water is just running out. They'll never be fulfilled. You will never give them enough water because it just keeps pouring out, right? There's nothing that you can do to keep them happy and satisfied because they're moving those goalposts, right? We always say this. You don't want to leave. You want to stay and keep them satisfied. Why? You cannot love a toxic person and love yourself at the same time. It doesn't exist. Always choose you. Always
choose you.
I feel like the cup with the holes on the side of it. When people hear that, they just like, maybe if I pour the water fast enough, it'll fill to the top.
No one thinks.
It's just going to last 30 seconds instead of 10 seconds.
But exactly. That's what she's trying to achieve. She's like, those brief moments of happiness, like if I pour it fast enough, it'd be filled to the top. You can.
I think it also goes back to the idea, like the questions like, how do you keep the narc happy? So in one sense, she's asking, how do I keep the narc happy? Well, that implies that you can do something to affect the other person. And that's the same logic and the same thought process of people being like, oh, I think I can change the narcissist. And that also gives the thought of like that you can actually do something about it. Well, one, you're not responsible for them. You're not responsible for their emotions, for their feelings, and you're not the one that can institute change in their lives. They have to be the ones that actually choose that and to be able to take that. And so when you're trying to think like, how can I do this? How can I make them happy? Like, there's not a way, because it's not about you. And it's not about anything that you bring to the table. And it's not about anything that you can, ascribe to or give them or do anything, because at the end of the day, it's all about them and the mask, and it has nothing to do with what you bring to the table.
There you go.
Yeah, and I would also like to add, I think a really important question to maybe reflect on is like, why are you putting them before you? Because you have to choose one. You have to choose them or choose you. So like, what happened? What's going on that you're not choosing you, and you're choosing someone that's hurting you over you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, empower. So I love how it bounces, like so many different perspectives and things like that. I love it. I really, really do love it. So I feel like this is about the smear campaign right here. How to get a narc to stop talking badly about you? I feel like y'all have a lot of experience in there right there.
You can't. I want to take this one real quick for a second. So when I left my, I didn't leave. I kicked him out. I stayed in contact with him for about 4.5 months, and it was because he was really pushing like to stay friends. And I didn't want to, but I also wanted to at the same time. Like it was just this, every time I spoke to them, whether it was a good conversation or not, there was always anxiety associated with it. And the big reason why I didn't want to go no contact was because I did not want to give him an excuse to talk bad about me. And I did not want to give him any ammunition to demonize me. That was literally why I didn't want to do it. Well, fast forward into like the 3-month mark or so, I got word from a semi-mutual friend who still didn't really even know me that well, and heard all sorts of things that my ex was saying about me. And mind you, during this whole 3 months, I had been very nice to him. Like I had let him stay on my phone plan for a while. Like, again, his mail was continuing to come to my house. Like I was not being forceful about anything other than get out of my house. And he was still telling people that, I never took care of my kids. I didn't go to work. All I did was stay home and drink. I, made $10 an hour. He had to pay for everything, like blah, blah, blah. Things that were completely contradictory to who I am as a human being, and I just realized it doesn't matter what I do. It doesn't matter if I'm a complete asshole to this person or if I'm the nicest person in the world. I'm always going to be the villain in his story. So why am I putting myself through this? Why am I allowing myself to literally have this physical response every time I talk to this individual when I can just be done with this altogether? So you, at least in my experience, you can't. You're always going to be the villain in their story. That's that's just what they do.
Yep.
I liked how you said it like that, because no matter how the other person phrases it or does anything about it, they're always going to twist it. Like I was talking to someone today, and it was like the idea of like negative and positive supply. Like no matter which one you give, like I can still twist it. So like whether you're like sitting there like crying on the floor, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they love me, or whether you're yelling in my face like F you, I'm like, oh my gosh, they love me. Like either way, like I can twist it in my mind. And like that's what the narcissist gets really good at, is not just gaslighting everybody else, but is gaslighting themselves into believing their own lies.
Yep. And like I said, they're going to keep talking, y'all. Like seriously, they'll talk themselves silly. So yeah, there you go. Well said, Trey. See, Trey, y'all are building. Y'all need to follow everybody. Like I said, follow everybody on every other platform, including YouTube. They have YouTube pages, TikToks, Instagrams, Facebook, wherever you comfortable at. Podcast. Ben has a podcast. Ro, you have a podcast too, right? All right. Just follow everybody. Follow everybody. I was gonna say ELE like a semi-pro, but it doesn't work there. Give me a minute. I have something for you. So using the children to me is the biggest weapon. Kids should be kids. Yes, absolutely, Kim. Kids should be kids, but not a narcissist kids. They can't just be kids. They get to be pawns and leverage and things to control you with. So they don't get to be most times they don't get to be kids when you're dealing with narcissistic people who are set on trying to hurt you.
Pawns, always pawns.
Well, you have a fan right here. Rose's Instagram is blowing up.
So we talk about. I'm actually in a really good relationship right now. So this person's blowing it up right now. Hi, Dylan. He got triggered by me not saying anything. So he decided to make a bunch of comments and be like, "It's me, hello." So now the comments flood.
Yay. That's funny. Yay, that's funny. Why do narcissists freak out, get angry when you catch them in a lie, cheating? Look, I'm gonna take this one first. How dare you try to hold me accountable? How dare you? Man, it's pretty much it right there. No matter what I do, because like I don't want to sit in the shame of whatever you're trying to hold me accountable for. I don't want to. It's just shame is, for lack of a better word, icky shame. It feels yucky. Just the most simple way of putting it. I'll let Ben hop on there a little bit more.
I mean, you touched on that like really well. I mean, that's really like the thought when it boils down to it is like, are you kidding me? Like, how dare you? Like it's really like the peasants rebelling. I mean, that's like the thought process of like how dare you hold me accountable when I'm like bigger, better, more entitled of everything. Like, how dare you actually like hold me accountable? And even when it comes to like lie or like cheating or stuff like that, like they're always going to twist it around to be like justified.
Yep.
I always say like no one is angrier than a narcissist being accused of something they definitely did. Right? They get real pissed. If they accuse us of something that we didn't do, that's a confession. And we're sitting there trying to figure out, like, I would be accused of stuff that I know I didn't do, and they definitely did it, but I would be like, did I do that? I'll look back at my messages, I'll recall, and I'll start to like kind of figure out what it is, what they're accusing me of. Like, did I do that? And I start questioning it. No, when you accuse a narcissist of something that they did, they're not gonna sit and be inquisitive about it and self-reflect. They're gonna be pissed at you for accusing you of something they did because they don't want to be held accountable. The audacity. How dare you hold me accountable?
Exactly. How dare you?
That's like my toaster illustration. Like when the toaster talks back and says, "No, I'm not going to cook your toast." Like that's like literally like the thought process is like, "What? Like how dare you? Like that's your purpose to do what I tell you to
do." Restore my peace. There you go. See, cut people out who are not bringing you peace, y'all.
When the toaster talks back, I love that analogy. That's funny.
Boom, boom, boom. Lee and Ben, this having a strong social media platform keep you accountable in your relationships. I mean, I just feel like I wouldn't need that to be accountable because I was accountable before the social media stuff started taking off. I was more accountable. I mean, I feel like I'm more accountable now because I guess people would tell if I decided to get out there. Just like, gotcha. People were waiting on my downfall pretty much now, so it's kind of funny. But I mean, social media is, I think my wife would say yes. I think she thinks everybody's on her side, and she's like, "We'll tell them we got you, girl. We got you. Don't worry about it." You know what I mean? But it is what it is. Social media wise.
Yeah.
So can everyone? Like I said, the Narc app. We're gonna talk about the Narc app real quick. How do I do this? Add this to the show. Did everybody see this?
Yep.
I'm gonna let Ben hop on the Narc app. Right.
Yeah. So right there, you see at the very top, healthy dating after abuse. This is Rose's own course here that she put up. She's got some awesome content here. Goes into 6 different modules, and then you can also like book with her. You can go right down here about the author. You can actually book with her too to be able to do like one-on-ones and everything like that. We've got several courses on here that we're super excited about. Healthy Dating After Abuse is the most recent one that came out. Boundaries by Bree. That one happened just recently as well. So Bree did a fantastic job with this one. We've got One Set You Free, and this goes into a little bit of like actually like changing your story, like working on that process where I kind of break it down in bits and pieces to give you kind of like an idea. And a couple other ones here of gaslighting, narcissism defined, lies they tell. A couple things that's really cool that I want to highlight real quick is we have a live question and answer time every Monday at 9:30 p.m. inside the NARC app. Or if you're a premium supporter, you can actually go in and you can log onto the weekly YouTube lives through your own. These are secured lives where they're not shared everywhere. It's not public. It's unlisted. So you can only see it inside the NARC app. You can watch the replays in there. Or you can actually click on the premium supporter and come live just like this. Like we're multiple people live here, and just ask questions, like get coaching kind of like live in the moment. It's a great place to be able to, help people as they work through their healing, growth, and change. Another thing that we have coming up as well is we also have monthly Zoom calls. And so this is where we actually are able to interact with everybody inside the NARC app that's a premium supporter. They can sign up for the monthly Zoom calls, and I can actually show up. We're all together on a giant Zoom call and like talking through and like working through the different things that they're going through. With the Zoom calls, we focus not just on narcissism. We kind of set that to the side a little bit, but we're starting to focus on like, what's that healing look like? What's next? Like, what's our growth? What's our development? Trying to help people move forward, because you've been learning about narcissism for like so long. You've learned, or you like feel like you're drinking from like the fire hydrant, right? And sometimes you also need a break of like, okay, what's my intention? Like, how do I change my mindset? How do I build my self-confidence? Like, that's some of the goals where we have myself, and we also have coaches from around the globe that actually come in and be able to help educate and challenge you to be able to move forward. So take a look at the NARC app. It's on Apple and on Google Play. You can log in. You can go into here to be able to see some of those options. They also have community where you can actually engage and be able to talk. There's an advice thread where you can drop in different questions. You can have survivors, different people that have been through it, actually give you their advice or tell you, hey, like I've been there, I've done that. Like this is some of the stuff that like I've worked on. And then also you can actually go through, and there's a couple areas that we're still working on developing where you can track. So like there's people that come in here daily and they track their no contact. They come in as an accountability to remind themselves, one more day. Like, I don't need you to be no contact for, this year or this month or even this week. I just need you to stay no contact tonight. Like, just get through tonight. Tomorrow we'll work on it again. But let's keep focusing on that to keep you free. You can track your no contact. You can record your truth. A lot of great things. We got a lot more things coming on the pipe. But definitely would love to have you guys engage with that. We do have our monthly coaching is actually coming up. It's going to be this coming Monday. So if you get a chance, you can go into that premium supporter tab, sign up there, and we'll be able to have you join with a bunch of us on Monday.
Perfect. Download the NARC app today. Like I say, in Apple and the Google Play Store and whatnot. Great app. I have it. I have it. I'm on it. Things like that. I think everybody here has downloaded it. So when you download, not only download it, use it, and leave a 5-star review, because Ben brings the heat.
Do all of those things.
Download it, use it, and do that.
Do all the courses, especially
take all the courses. Yes, you won't have to. See right here, you gotta use it right here. The live on Monday was the best therapy. There you go. I told y'all, Ben brings the heat. My alliteration is terrible.
Yeah, we've got Ro and Bree that have a course on there. I haven't got like Kat's worked on yet. Like she's already sent me stuff. It's just my fault of like actually getting it up. But yeah, we do have more coming. I've got 2 more courses that are like in the queue actually. One is actually from Lisa Sunny about guilt, and then one is also from Carrie McAvoy about cognitive dissonance. So those are like pushed out in like production, but like they're on their way too.
There you go, right there. You see. Y'all see that accountability?
It's my turn to make a course then.
What was that?
I said, I guess it's my turn to make a course then.
You're up.
Yeah. There you go.
No, absolutely.
Did y'all hear that accountability? He said it's my fault. So, special one for Catherine says, how do you forgive your father?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question. I do. I think that there was a point maybe a year and a half ago where it just kind of clicked in my head, like, he's not this huge monster. He was like the biggest monster in my brain. And it's like, you're just like every other personality disorder out there. There's just a million of you. Like, there's so many of you. And I think also going on and getting the education in psychology and kind of understanding personality development, it's like, we're all just a product of our environment. His personality developed the way it did. I'm over it, and I'm better off now.
There you go. Empowered. She's empowered now.
Empowered.
So yeah, I think so. I'm gonna ask. I can put up a couple more questions up, y'all. That we're gonna have to cut this thing a little short. We normally go for about an hour. Bum bum bum. I have a lot of star one over here. Did y'all see any questions that popped up? Karma. Do y'all think narcissists get their karma? So I can answer this real quick. I feel like narcissist karma is in their existence. It's just in their existence. You know, I think a lot of people. This segues into this one right here about narcissists. What do they? So basically, narcissists deep down crave love, intimacy, so cannot make those connections. So me personally, I think all that boils down to is the pursuit of happiness. You know, I just feel like I set these huge goals for my life and do all this other stuff because I'm trying to make myself happy. But you know, I feel like it all just boils down to me searching for what does happiness mean to me. I can feel happy in moments, but like I'm looking for contentment and joy and things like that. I feel like narcissists deep down, or they crave all this stuff, but you can put all of that in the happiness ball or the joy ball. You know, all of that is balled up into one thing right there. So it's just the search, the pursuit of happiness, like Will Smith in that movie. You know, I feel like that right there. Sorry.
I like how you said like all that is kind of like the idea of like joy ball, because when it comes down to it, like that's one of the biggest things I've focused on over this past year is like the idea of gratitude. Because like I don't think you can really tap into like happiness and even like joy without being grateful for what you have, who you are, where you've been, what you've been through. And like for me, a big aspect and trying to change my mindset is like taking my experiences, taking who I am, and taking where I am now, and like, you know, everything that like God has blessed me with now, and like being grateful, like having gratitude to actually get to that place of having joy. Because otherwise you're just trying to fill like an empty hole, and until you're actually like willing to acknowledge the things around you, like life, like the people, of like being grateful of that, I don't think you can really tap into happiness.
Yeah. So I feel like this is a question for the audience. It says, how do so many women and men stay married to these psychopathic CEOs or just people in general? One of y'all hop on that one.
How do so many of us stay married specifically, or stay together, right? So yeah, I mean, staying together with somebody, it's like the frog in boiling water, right? You don't know exactly how deep it's gonna get. You just keep going and going and going because we're so conditioned very slowly. And you know, if a frog jumps into a pot of boiling water, we're not going to stay. We're not going to stay in this. If a love bomb or manipulator said to you from the first day, hey, I'm going to gaslight you, I'm going to make you feel crazy, I'm going to lie to you, cheat on you, manipulate you, I'm going to steal from you, you're going to wish you never met me, right? I'm going to do this all to you. You're going to be in this like really dark place by the end of this. You wouldn't even go on a second date. You wouldn't even talk to them again, right? And the reason why we stay is because we get so trapped in so slowly, and that we just don't realize it's getting hotter and hotter and harder. Like we don't realize it doesn't start off boiling water. It goes tepid. It's tepid first. And we jump in and we think we have this like image of this person that's fake. It's a facade. So that's why that's why I stayed for so long, because I didn't realize what I was in.
I would say another reason that we stay so long is fear.
Yep.
I was in a really, really abusive relationship for like 3 years, and I stayed for so long because of the threats of destroying my life, destroying my reputation, stalking me, destroying future relationships, just the never-ending threats. And, you know, I didn't have children with him, but then as a coach now, I hear all the time the threats of I'm going to take the children, or I'm going to do this, right? So I think fear keeps a lot of people there too. But I will say, I think a lot of their threats are empty.
Yeah. And there's obviously a huge aspect with like the physical fear of like your safety for leaving. Cause I mean, if you talk to a lot of survivors, just like Kat was saying, you know, it didn't go, for a lot of people, it didn't go very well the first time that they tried to leave. But I think there's also, I've talked about this before in a post where I think like I called it like the match made in toxic heaven is a narcissist and a people pleaser. And that was the dynamic of me and my ex. And because I'm a people pleaser and codependent, I had a real deep fear of just being alone and ending up alone. And I had this overly weighted value in my life doesn't have meaning if I don't have someone. Like, I literally remember saying at some point, like, I know this isn't the greatest relationship, but at least I'm not alone. And that's on me. Like, that was a unhealthy mindset that I had. So it was still fear-based. It was just the fear of being alone and, you know, going through all of this and wasting all this time and, you know, all this kind of stuff. There's just, it's very in depth, and there's a lot that goes on to the mind. It's not as simple as just like, oh, we'll just get out. Like, that's one of the bits is not that simple.
Yeah, it never is. So last thing right here, y'all. When are you coming to the Midwest?
I'm Midwest, you guys.
When are you coming to the Midwest? So
When are you coming my way?
We'll find out.
Is Texas not what's the Midwest? What's considered
Midwest is like Minnesota. So let's go Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Oh, okay. Well, we're checking, man, being on checking our analytics to see where we're going.
more to come.
No one's in the Midwest.
Checking the analytics. Oh my God.
It's crazy because like YouTube, it tells you like every city.
The city,
so, like, what city people are from. So I think we're gonna narrow it down. I don't know. I have in my head 6 next year. So we need to kind of brainstorm and talk through this and see how we're gonna pull this off.
But it's like, so the next actual meet and greet we're doing is in
Yes.
Austin, Texas.
Austin, Texas. October 15th in Austin, Texas. Address and more details to come. It's gonna be a live in person like meet and greet. You'll see all of us will be there in some.
And you'll see some of this stuff advertised here within the next probably like 2 weeks. We'll start putting up stuff, so like just stay tuned. But to give you like a little idea, there's going to be like in person like one-on-ones with 8 of the NarcAvengers that are going to be there, that are going to be actually doing like live like in-person one-on-ones. There's also going to be kind of like an exclusive like Q&A, so like not having everybody there, but like, you know, a smaller group of people to be able to interact with all of us. There'll be 10 of us for the Q&A and everything, and then there'll be like the meet and greet, which will be like just, you know, free for everybody just to pop in, be able to talk. But at the end of the meet and greet, we'll also have a time where we get up and talk for a couple minutes, share either some videos of some other NarcAvengers that aren't able to be there, and kind of like leave you guys with like some tips or advice, you know, before we all like head out for the night. But that's just a snippet of all the stuff that's coming.
Yeah. So everything's coming soon. Daniel, thank you. I appreciate that. I just read that. But yeah, like meet and greets coming. If you want to speak, everybody here does one-on-ones and coaching and things like that, right? So everybody does one-on-ones. Follow everybody here. Stand coaching, raw motivations, roller coaster of love. I was like, yo, Trey. Everybody's everywhere. So if you want personal perspective and things like that, link is in the bio and all the other good jazz. I'm gonna repost this live, so y'all said I'm gonna send it to everybody here as well, so they'll be on their pages. So follow everybody. If y'all have any questions, you know, you can always message me. You can always message anybody here about anything in particular you want to speak about, personal one-on-ones and things like that as well. Thank y'all for tuning in to another live. Come to the meet and greet in Austin, Texas. You know, it's gonna be, for lack of a better word, lit. You know, I'm in my late 30s and I can't say it too much more. It's gonna be lit, folks. Come through, say hey. You know, it's gonna be fun. Austin, Texas, October 15th. Anyways, y'all, thank y'all. Bye, y'all. Appreciate y'all coming in. Thank y'all so much.
Fun.